Hey, this is Mark Washington, MTC Media here at JPJ, where the Virginia Cavaliers dropped a blowout home loss to Louisville, 70-50 for the Cavaliers. Elijah Saunders had 12, Andrew Rhodey had 16, McNeely had 13, but it really wasn't much groove or much sort of rhythm that this team got into today. I don't know if it was Louisville's quickness on defense, the stagnation on offense, but whatever it was, Virginia did not come out here today ready to compete for 40 minutes, and it showed. This was a 5-point game at halftime. Louisville was up, and then the second half happened, and Louisville goes on a run. Virginia responds with a 7-0 run. Then the wheels came off. Louisville gets a three-pointer out of Ren Smith, the transfer from Charleston, who came up with Pat Kelsey, the coach of Louisville. He gets a three and just starts a run. I thought Virginia was awful guarding ATOs today. Smith ends up with a couple of threes. They end up with an alley-oop out of it. They got anything they wanted in the second half off of stuff that I know had to have been in the scout. You know, I don't think Louisville ran anything today out of ATOs that they didn't run against Carolina, who they also defeated earlier this week in a completely different game. So that's one of those attention to details. I asked Coach Sanchez about it. He just said they knew they needed to stay connected to Smith. He would have to watch the film to see why they didn't stay connected to Smith, because obviously in the scout, it was he's going to shoot threes. And of course, he had 10 attempts. All 10 attempts were threes, and he made 5 out of the 10, and that's just not the way to win the game. Also, the offensive rebounds that Louisville got in the second half, I don't know if it's going to be in the book, but it constantly, let's see, offensive rebounds here. They had 5 in the first half. They finished with 14. So 9 offensive rebounds in the second half for the Cardinals. So even when they did miss, they generated multiple possessions. Now, some of those offensive rebounds, they had multiple offensive rebounds in a single possession. But you cannot give up 9 offensive rebounds in 20 minutes of play, especially with this Louisville team and how they need to play. They need to play at a certain pace. They need to make a certain amount of threes. Today they were 7 for 19 from the 7 for 19 from the 3-point line. That's 36.8%, which is almost typical for a college team. You will get some that'll get over 40. So you allow them to do that. You allow them to have 14 offensive rebounds. You only turn them over 9 times. And I think one of the most damning things about Virginia in their offense today was the fact that they only had 6 free throw attempts. 5 for 6 from the line, only 6 free throw attempts. That goes back to what I said earlier about stagnation, about not being aggressive. The only person who seemed to be aggressive going to the basket was Andrew Rhodey, and especially in the first half, Rhodey did push the ball to the basket, made some dribble combinations and finished at the front of the rim that I don't know if anyone thought was going to come out of Andrew Rhodey. There were some really, really nice moves. But 6 free throws in a home conference game, 6 free throw attempts, it's just not going to get it done. Louisville from the free throw line was 13 of 14. So there wasn't a stat on this sheet that Virginia won. They didn't win the rebounding game. They didn't win the free throw game. They didn't win the 50-50 ball game. They didn't win any of this. And you can't give away conference home games, especially in an ACC that's really shaping up as Duke and everyone else. That 2 through 7 is wide open. That could be Clemson, that could be Wake, that could be SMU, who Duke blew out today. That could be a myriad of teams. North Carolina, who wins on a 4-point play with under 5 seconds left today. That can be any of the teams. That 2 through 7, everyone's jockeying for. So giving away home conference games with this sort of effort has never been something that you have, and I won't say never. It just has not been there for a Virginia team in a long time. And I'm sure they'll respond to it. And for Louisville, give the coaching staff and the players a lot of credit. when you have North Carolina and Virginia in the same week and you have a scout for both, and they're two totally different things, 3 or 4 days apart, for the players to be able to execute both scouts and for the coaches to put together the scouts that they did, execute both scouts and walk away with 2 wins, one home at Yum against Carolina and one on the road in Charlottesville. I mean, Pat Kelsey and the staff, they certainly, for this week, they deserve a lot of kudos. So we'll wrap it up here from Charlottesville. Louisville 70, Virginia 50. This is Marcus Washington from MTC Media.